Everybody. It's Cyndi Casemier at C2C Gallery in Grand Haven, Michigan. And today we have Tony Clennell with us. He's up in Canada. No, they're not letting us cross the borders. But he and I got talking a couple weeks ago, and we thought it'd be a good thing to get together and have a chat. I want to introduce Tony. So Tony, I became aware of him when he used to write for Clay Times. And he would always be at the last page of the magazine, I believe. And he always was really witty. I looked forward to reading him every month. And then we had a mutual friend who called me one day and he said, Cyn, you've got to take this class. It's going to be in Italy. You need to travel. Do this. No matter what you possibly can do, just figure it out. And so I was like, you want me to travel by myself internationally? And he's like, yes, do it. Just get it done. And I was like, okay. And so I signed up, got a hold of Tony. He made it really easy for me. And I made some lifelong friends in that class. And I learned a lot. And let me we're going to start at the beginning. So let me introduce you to Tony. Tony, please say hello.
Top of the morning, everybody. Having a green beer in your honor. St. Patrick's Day, remember? So anyways, I checked the obituaries this morning to see if I was in them, because this is like a group of about 100 of my best buddies that are joining in today and to just talk. And I'm totally honored. Thank you.
That's great. And he's got to change his glasses so he can actually see going forward here.
Yeah, I can't see y'all. There we go. That's better, right?
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right. Now you can take me seriously.
And with that, I know you credit your aunt and uncle for getting you into clay and also teaching you how to work hard. Besides that, did you have some other training that you took with regard to clay and residencies or other things to learn your craft?
I sort of say that the first 20 years of my career, I was really a self-taught potter. Although I started with my aunt and uncle, we used to have an organization here called the Ontario Potters, and I took every workshop I could. And I went to the Banff School of Fine Arts for a summer, and I had a wonderful teacher there. He was the glaze guru of his time, F. Carlton Ball. And F. Carlton Ball encouraged me to be a potter. My aunt and uncle actually discouraged me from being a potter. Yeah, they didn't. They thought they were under the mistaken impression that I had brains, and so they encouraged me to go to business school, and I did. Oh. And I worked really hard at business, but I didn't like it. And so when I graduated, I was supposed to work at Kodak Canada, and I went for my first job interview, performance evaluation, and my marketing manager said to me, "Your hair's too long," and at that time it was just barely touching my ear. And I said, "Oh, I thought you hired me for what was between my ears, not what's over them." And that was the wrong answer. I didn't get my raise, but it was the best thing that could have happened, because I went back to my desk and I wrote my resignation letter, and I was out of there. So what's a guy do with a commerce degree that doesn't want to be in commerce? It's a natural thing. I went to teachers college, and at teachers college, I top of my class in marketing, because I'm a creative person. And so I got offered a job and teaching high school, and I turned it down. And that's when I went to Banff. And then I came home and tried to make pots in a basement for a year, but I could sell them, but I couldn't make them. Oh. So I couldn't make enough of them to make a decent living. And so I did take a job teaching high school, and I believe some of my high school students might even be on this thing today, and I taught them 40 years ago. I've tried my damnedest to get rid of some of them, but they just keep following me around.
Well, you're
I'm
kind
just,
of a lucky
I'm
man.
just kidding. So,
Um,
and then,
so,
so then after that, I taught high school, and then I did this. We had a teacher-funded leave plan where you saved a third of your salary, and then on the third year you could take the year off, and it was sort of like a sabbatical. And I never went back, and that was almost 42 years ago.
so when you
So
first
40 years.
started, you were making really production pottery because obviously the whole goal was to feed yourself.
Yep. I did take a course, a 1 year course with, and it had been set up by the guy you mentioned that told you to go to Italy, Robin Hopper, and it was a program that taught production pottery. And anyways, I forgot where I was going with that.
We were talking about production pots, and then we were going to
Oh,
like
okay.
from there.
Okay, so when I was at Georgian, at this college, this is in the days. Some of you will remember a 16 millimeter projector.
Mhm.
So we would set up this. Somebody's barking. Uh, uh, we'd set up the 16 millimeter projector, black and white, on every Friday afternoon, and we'd get some beers, and we'd watch Isaac Button, the country potter.
Oh, okay.
And Isaac Button was this English gentleman that smoked a corncob pipe, and wore a shirt and tie, and threw a ton of clay a day, 2,000 pounds of clay a day. And so I wanted to be him.
Mhm.
And so when I first started my pottery, I sold to anybody that would buy my pots. If it was a hardware store, I sold at a hardware store. I sold at places called Nancy's Nibbles and Knits. Uh, all these little crafty stores, and I think that production, uh, I probably threw maybe 6 or 7 tons of clay a year. Nothing like Isaac Button, but still a lot of clay. And I think that 20 years of making uh, is necessary.
You definitely do learn like what your form is, like how do you make bowls and how you make mugs. When you make that many pots, you definitely do learn that. But then from there, I know that you went from high fire to low fire, and you did a number of things. Somewhere in that time period, didn't you decide that I don't want to do this anymore? I need to find another way to make a living so that I can make just one of a kind pots.
I think one of the most important years for me was uh, probably 2000. In 2000, I started teaching at Sheridan College, and I was hired there as to teach production pottery, and I hated that term because I didn't want to be a production potter. I now wanted to be a studio potter. And so, and then when I had all of these students that were looking at my work and critical, and we had these things called critiques, which I'd never experienced in my life, where not everybody's telling you what you make is pretty. So I got to participate in these critiques, and then I started thinking about my own work, and I didn't want to be in one of those critiques with a little bowl with a wooden stick stuck in the side of it, or a wine cooler, or a jar that said cookies on it. I didn't. I wanted to be one step ahead of them.
Mhm.
I wanted to have one more gear to shift into. So it was actually, and being a potter is a lonely job. I mean, you think this pandemic is caused loneliness. Well, you're stuck in your studio all day by yourself, and it can be lonely. So when I got the job at Sheridan, I think I found my vocation, my calling. I got to do what I wanted to do and teach the people that wanted to be there. And so it was great, and it was steady income
Right.
for
Right.
for the first time in a long time. I I knew I had an income every week, and
So
that takes pressure off.
yeah, definitely. And
Right?
at what point did you start doing lots of workshops in North America and say at La Meridiana?
I think that it, what I discovered when I was at Sheridan College, was that for me to enter into any kind of academia, I needed to have this driver's license, and the driver's license is called an MFA, and I don't, and I was really, and so at the ripe old age of 55 years old, I went to Utah State University to get my MFA. And by the time I graduated, I was 58. So I thought at 58, man, I'm a real vintage bottle of wine. But I think they saw me as an old bottle of vinegar. And so I didn't land a job in academia, and I'm ever so thankful, because I really I had one crack at a couple of semesters at Sheridan. My department head, Bruce Cochran, retired, and I got to be the acting head for a couple of semesters, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I absolutely hated it. I'm not good at administration. I'm a teacher, and so I remember one of my students saying to me, "Oh man, Tony, we're really glad you didn't get that job." I said, "You dirty creep. I mean, that I would have been secure. I mean, I had a nice income." And she said, "No, but yeah, but your personality changed. You weren't happy." And so, as a consequence of not uh, getting that job, I started getting all of these workshops all over the country, really over the world. And what I liked about them was I'd arrive there, it'd be nice and clean. They'd treat me like a king, take me out for dinner. I'd meet new friends like you, and then I could leave all of the shit behind me. And I didn't have to evaluate people. I mean, I have continued to have critiques with people, and I think that's really important. Uh, but uh, but no grade mark, right?
Right.
So that so I for the last since I graduated, I guess it was 2009. I've been living the life. It's been good.
Oh, good. You get to
Yeah.
travel. And, it makes me, your comment makes me think of Malcolm Davis. I can remember early on, like he did a million things in his life and he found clay. And I think he might have been in his 60s when he started clay. And he, just went for it. And he was gung ho and he was this big personality. And he started doing workshops all over the place. And, I believe that all of us at this older part of our life or more advanced stage, we have a lot to share still and a lot of information to give. There's a lot between your ears that you need to put out there. And so it makes me think about something I've been thinking in the last 2 years about how should I spend my time? What's the best use of time? Because there's only so much time on this planet. And as we get older, we start seeing friends die and we're like, oh my gosh, today needs to count. So last week I was in my studio working and I was listening to Ben Carter on his podcast, and it was from 2016. He was interviewing a woman. Her name was, she was a Navajo sculptor named Christine McHorse. And she said something that really caught my attention, and I'm going to read it to you. She said, "This work is taxing on my body. I go into the studio and the day is gone. I have missed seeing another sunset. My time is really important to me now. I need to make it count." And that was before COVID. So then I'm thinking about, you know, talking to you and all these other people who are on with us today. So the New York Times last weekend interviewed 75 people, and I'm sure they did this over a period of time. And I thought it was so interesting because I had been thinking about and hearing from artists in our sphere at C2C Gallery that when COVID happened, and I'm sure Tony, you were the same way. I know you were down south and you hightailed it back home. And then it's like, great, I have all this time. I can work in my studio, I can stay focused, I can do the things that I didn't get to do in the last few years. And then they went in their studios and they realized exhibits had been canceled. Galleries weren't open. The shows that they thought they were going to compete in were not happening. And they're like, well, why should I make anything? And I know people just were like pausing and a lot of people became depressed. And so in this New York Times article, they were saying, you know, great art will probably be made during this time. You'll be inspired by this time, but we have to wait for it to emerge. We have to see what the struggles were. And so I thought maybe I'd ask you the questions that the New York Times journalist asked some artists. So, Tony, did you make anything in the last year that mattered to you?
Well, I don't think you ever wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go to the studio and make something that doesn't matter. I mean, I think as makers, we do make things that matter. And so, yeah, I mean, I have made things that matter. And as long as they matter to me, that's I guess that's where I'm at right now. If I like it and I want to make it, then I will. And I don't make things now that I don't want to make. So
Okay.
I hope I make things that matter.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So during this time, you know, you've been very, you're an outgoing guy and you go out to the workshops, you get to talk to people and all those things. And now you've been home. How did you find ways to like comfort yourself or, you know, what did you do within your own space to make yourself feel comfortable and loved and cared for?
Well, I don't think I feel lonely. And I'm never bored. I hear people say, "Oh, I'm bored." I can't imagine me ever being bored. There's so many interesting things that I want to do and have done. But one of the things that I have embraced this year, because I am a very social person, and I haven't really even really been with somebody since December. So that's 4 months on your own is a long period of time. But I had, and this goes back to being a high school student. Actually, uh, I, this is a long story short, baby. My I hated high school, and I wasn't a very good student. And I maybe I was bored because I was 2 years younger than everybody else. And I remember I stuck a pencil in the Bunsen burner gas valve and turned it on. And this science teacher, Mr. Lawson, took me to this back room, and they closed the door, and he picked me up by the shirt. So, anyways, he said, "You're not going to finish high school. You're not going to go to university. Blah blah blah." And so here I am, 3 degrees later, and a RCA designation. But I invited Mr. Hunt up to, when I was a high school teacher, to give the Remembrance Day address, and afterwards I took him out for a beer and some chicken wings at the Pacific Hotel down the road, and I said, "Thank you, thank you for telling me I wouldn't amount to anything." And so So this change in my life just happened this summer. I won't call her an old friend, but a longtime friend said to me, I was bragging that I had embraced my bicycle and I was riding my bicycle 8 kilometers a day. And she said, "You're just dinking around." And that was like a declaration of war. Uh, I've never dinked around at anything I've ever done in my life. And so then I started, I went from there to doing 30 kilometers a day. But I'd enjoy going down hills, coasting, blah, blah, blah. Somewhere in, I don't know, November or December, the same person said to me, you're still dinking around. So now I ride that distance, but I ride it hard. And this is Canada, so there's snow and ice and nasty cold weather. And my coach, my watch, told me that I've done 12 uninterrupted 7-day weeks of exercise. So that's a big change in me and what COVID has brought me.
That's great. For you to get exercise in a different way than just slugging clay around, I think is really good for you and your heart. So maybe you'll be around a bit longer to help teach all of us and kick us in the butt and keep us moving along on our
I'm
paths.
hoping. I'm hoping so. Well, you see, there was a book I read, David Sedaris, and he said life is like a 4 burner stove, and you can't have all burners on high at once. And they are family, friends, health, and career. And most of us put the career up high, and I did. For a long time, I had career up on high, and health is always the one that's neglected. So next month I turn 70, and now all of a sudden health is really important.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I want to be like my friend out there, Ron Myers. At 5 o'clock, I want to walk in, uh, have a bourbon and 11 almonds at 86 years old, I think, and yeah.
Well, then you got to keep bicycling so that you can keep that going.
Yeah.
So, what are you thinking about doing for your own pottery right now? Like, do you have some ideas on what you want to do in the future? Like, is anything percolating that you want to talk about?
Um, in terms of my work, to be honest, no,
Okay.
and it's a struggle. But I mean, I just got word that I was supposed to be teaching on this island off of an island last summer. It's called Fogo Island. Off of Newfoundland, and it got canceled because of COVID. Everything I had planned for last year got taken to the car wash. I didn't. Everything was gone. So, anyways, I just got word a couple of days ago that that's back on again. So I'm really hopeful that Fogo Island happens in the summer. I hope that my friends Andrew and Heather Schmidt get Ash and Barrel going again, which is a show at a brewery, so that I can make work for that and get together with my friends and I want to see what they're doing and I want to have good work to show them. So that'll get me back in the studio. And then there's another show that happens in November in Ottawa that I'm part of, 260 Fingers.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's 26 potters that get together. And I want that so badly to go on, just to get me back in the studio. Then in the wintertime, I hope to get one of those 1 month courses going again. I'm going to get it going somewhere. I don't know where I'm going to get it going, but it might be Portugal, it might be Mississippi. Uh, I, I got friends in low places, so I'll make it happen.
Well, that's cool. Um, so that's one thing I wanted to bring up. I know you're looking for places to teach, and I thought I'd just put an idea in maybe some of the people's heads that are listening to this. So God, what was it, maybe 22 years ago, something like that, I invited you to come to Michigan. And what
Years ago?
I know, why, no, 12 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, no, not 22. And I just started putting out an email to people in the area that were potters, and we put together enough people. And then I called the local university and I said, hey, I want to bring a workshop leader in. Can we use your facility if we let your students participate? And they're like, oh, great idea. So if any of you out there have a group of friends, and I would say, you got to figure out the numbers and you have to talk to Tony about that. But it could be a demo workshop, it could be a hands-on workshop, and you house Tony, you feed him, and he's a great teacher. So just an idea that maybe you can put something together for him. And at the end of this, I was going to give you information about where he's selling his work. And so that if you're curious, you can have a look. I do have one of his big bowls back here. It was a
hey, Cyndi,
Yeah.
don't oversell me on these workshops, because I don't want to work as hard as I used to. I'm going to go back to Judy's out there, and Robin. Robin Hopper, I had him do his last workshop at Sheridan, and the reason it was his last workshop was he burned himself out.
He did.
I think he'd done 3 workshops that week or something, and it was some ridiculous thing. So when he got sick, I would phone Robin and Judy every Saturday night religiously, and they always told me, be careful, you're going to burn yourself out. And I said, no, I'm healthy. I'm healthier than Robin. I'm good. But, it catches up with you, this not being at home and eating and drinking and partying. And life of a rock star is not what you think it is. I mean,
yeah, it's
right?
true. It's true. We
Oh,
do have to pay attention. I like the
I'm not
four-burner
going to do
analogy.
I'm not going to do as many. I'm going to be more selective.
Well, good. So here's the business hat. So you communicate with people and you spread it out. So don't like jam them all in, spread it out over 2, 3 years and just say, I'm booked. I represent an artist who teaches also all over the world. He's booked out 4 years.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
you see, and the other mistake that I made was I would go to these interesting places and I'd take the next plane home
right.
instead of going there and going to see the sites that I should be seeing. And I call them busman's holidays because people paid me to go there.
Mhm.
So yeah, my intentions this year when Bogo Island happens is I'm going to spend some time in Newfoundland.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. And I'm hoping that I can go to that course just because I haven't been to that part of the Canada. I know someone just typed in that they looked up Fogo Island, and I'll put a plug for that because you were telling me it sounds like it's gorgeous and they have a fantastic facility. So for all of you Canadians that are on, you should consider it. Us in the United States, we're not allowed in Canada yet again. So let's see.
I just see something from Cheryl. She said Newfies are the best.
Yeah. Oh, I know. There was
a friend told me you don't go to Newfoundland for the weather. You go there for the people. People are really fantastic. I'm sure they're probably drinking green beer right now.
They probably are. And yeah, I love most Canadians. I haven't met a mean one yet.
Well, I could introduce you to a few.
No, I don't like mean people. Hey, I was, oh, wait a second here. Oh, I know. So I told you this is gonna be laid back. Your book that you created, what was the title again?
Stuck in the Mud.
Stuck in the Mud. Are there any copies available? No?
No. See what a great business person I am. I don't have any pots. I don't have a website. And my book, Robin and Judy actually convinced me to write it because they said I needed a passive income So I wrote this book and I self-published it. And now I figure, oh Jesus, people want to read me, they can just read my blog. They don't even have to spend any money. So I'm my own worst businessman.
Well, maybe you should
I don't have,
reconsider that again.
but
Right. So, hmm?
uh, yeah, and I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 20 years ago. I had three CDs and DVDs, and that was a good source of income for me. But YouTube killed the video.
That's true. But you
You
can
go up
charge. You can put your videos up on YouTube and earn money off of them, but that's a whole nother lesson. Um,
yeah,
I'm, I,
it's more
I'm,
administration. It's administration. I don't.
well, you know what I used to always say? That I wanted a wife.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to start looking
Careful
at
what
some
you
of.
wish for.
I'm going to look at questions. And so one question is where do you see yourself going in the next few years?
In the next 2 years?
No, next few. Let's say 3 to 5.
Oh man. I've got this new. I have this new mistress. My my bicycle, and I'm making plans for her. Actually, I've been I've looked at a trail, a rail trail that goes across Newfoundland, 800 kilometers across Newfoundland, and I'd like to do that. And I've talked to and I talked to a friend in Portugal that I'm thinking about doing the Camino Trail in Portugal on bike. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, and I think Hester's done Camino Trail in Spain, but
mhm.
I want to do the one in Portugal because my friend has a studio there that he said I could come to work.
So look at
Travel.
Vermont Biking Company. They do, I think
I
it's called
looked at
Vermont Biking, but they do biking tours all over the world. And they
I,
might,
I looked at them.
see, small world.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, oh, somebody says you need to come back to Vancouver. Oh,
Uh, I'd
one
love to.
question.
To the Shadbolt Center, I'd love to. I,
Oh, yeah.
the Shadbolt Center is an amazing place. And oh, it's Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. I'd love to have you. I'd love to be back there. We went out and I fired the train kiln there, and it was Heritage Day, and there was thousands and thousands of people in the park, and I was smoking it pretty good. And so we'd open the firebox door and throw in a liter of water, and poof, the smoke was gone. But it's a fantastic facility.
Yeah, so Janet says, yep, come back.
Yeah.
So
Was it
another question.
that your Janet?
Yeah, yep, our Janet.
Yeah, yeah. That was Cyndi was in this class of mine in Italy, and these women just bonded, and I think they've traveled once a year together
Yep,
for
until
how many
COVID.
years? Yeah. And Bev, whose phone that interrupted, she was the first woman I ever met that was packing.
Yeah, you should have listened to the conversations we had when I moved the gallery home.
She had a gun in her glove compartment. So I was pretty sweet to Bev.
Yeah. So, all right, here's another question. So, this person would like to know if you ever make smaller things to bless for a good firing. In other words, a kiln god. Do you ever do that?
Do I ever make kiln gods?
Yeah.
No, no, I don't. I wish I could. I have one, but it's metal, uh, and I put it on the firebox. But no, I don't make them.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
so you are only firing wood pots at Pinecroft?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, no, not only there. I get my former student Emma Smith has just built a wood kiln, And my former boss, Bruce Cochran, has a wood kiln. I go there.
Oh,
And
okay.
I have another buddy that's building one, Steve. So wood kilns are becoming more plentiful in my province because of technical safety standards.
Oh,
Uh, Gas kilns, you have uh, these crazy rules. Once a good sized kiln, you have to have over 400,000 BTUs, and they have to have infrared sensors.
oh, wow.
So it just gets like the burner system is like 20 grand. So but there are no regulations for wood kilns.
Well, I guess I'm glad we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
Here in the States, we can pretty much fire gas kilns, fairly safely and fairly easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there was another
We live in
question.
the land of the free, remember?
Yes, well, yeah, we all know about that. We're not going down that path. Um, so, all right, we talked about Pinecroft a little bit. Yeah, are they still offering classes or not?
Uh, just these little day classes. And I had some week-long courses scheduled for last year, but they got canceled because of COVID.
Are you
And
going to do them in this year?
we'll see how things go here. I mean, we handled COVID pretty well in Canada in terms of funding artists and so on and so forth. None of us are going down the tubes, but we've really dropped the ball in terms of vaccinations because we don't make them, and
Mhm.
so we're dependent on other Europe and United States for vaccinations. And I think like I'll be 70, so I think I'm due to get mine in May, and
Wow.
most of you there have probably already had them.
Yeah, I've had one.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah. Um, so what's your favorite form to create? I would say anything with handles if I was going to answer for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I when I was in my 20s, I went to Wales and I worked with Mick Casson for a summer, and so I've made jugs probably most of my life. And I remember this guy. Sometimes I get these real crackpots on my blog, and this guy said, Tony, you're still making that tired old jug form. You've been making it for 15 years. And I said, no, well, actually, I've been making that tired old form for 42 years. And I'm just starting to get it right now. So yeah, I like, and then my other form that I like to make, the 1 year I went to Georgian College, my teacher was Roger Kerslake, and Roger's, I think, one of the premier teapot makers in our country, certainly. And he said you can always you can judge a potter by their teapots, and because a teapot uh, not only should look interesting, but it has to work. And
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever. I think 9 out of 10 teapots that I've sold, the people insist that they pour water out of it first. So
Well,
it has to work. Because and I think that the reason that they ask me to do that is that they've bought so many crappy teapots that dribbled all over the place,
well,
right?
that's true. And in the gallery, when we had a person who was a teapot collector come in, that would be the first thing I would coach my staff to say is like, are you collecting teapots? Like, how many teapots do you have that sit on a shelf and you look at and dust? And how many do you actually use? And then you would know, like, am I going to take one of, say, Richard Ernie's teapots for them to try and, use that? Or am I going to have maybe Marian Angelica's, whose are just decorative teapots? So you have to ask that question. Okay, so that reminds me, you're talking about teapots. So do you like to make teapots?
I do. I love making teapots.
Okay,
Yeah.
because in
I don't
2010,
make anything I don't like making.
okay,
Cindy, I don't make anything I don't like making.
yes, you've said that. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought for certain you would send out an email and saying, I want everybody to be ready to make teapots first day of class at La Meridiana. And I went, oh,
I did that.
and
What a jerk, huh?
well, you didn't make us do that, but guess what? I made 5 teapots before I went to Italy just to make sure that I was up on those skills. And I was like, okay, this is why I don't make teapots hardly ever. I've never fallen in love with them, but I collect them.
Yeah. Well, people don't like making things that they're not good at, and so sometimes you just have to embrace that and say, damn it, if I want to make some teapots, I better make 90 of them,
Yeah.
uh, and um, and then they'll get better.
That's
Maybe the 90th one will be better than the first one,
or
but again, it gets back to it's that Malcolm Gladwell theory. Did you ever read Malcolm Gladwell?
I have. I love his books.
Yeah, so his most famous saying is the 10,000 hour saying.
Yep.
If you want to have a good golf swing, 10,000 hours. You want to good tennis serve, 10,000 hours. Hey, you want to make good teapots, 10,000 hours.
Yep.
And 10,000 hours really isn't all that long. It's a 40-hour week, probably for 5 years. And
Right.
so if you go to your, I'm not saying go to your studio for 5 years and just make teapots, but your hands will become your memory, and I think that's what happens with production making.
Definitely.
When you first start off, you got a book propped up over there, and you say, now how's that guy holding his fingers, and it's all how to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
So let's see here. I have a couple other questions.
See, Rick,
Just a positive comment. Somebody said, love how loose you are in your work. Perfect example were the birdhouses that you did a while back. Do you ever have to work at giving yourself permission to go wild and experiment?
No. I I'm going to give Ron a little perk out there because I did a workshop in Atlanta, Georgia, and I asked Ron to come for an afternoon on a Sunday and co-present with me. And I'd make a plate and I'd put a little dink in it, and everybody thought, man, that's really loose. And then he's sitting beside me. He makes a plate, picks it up with no bat or anything, throws it on the table, and the rim kind of goes all like this, and it looked absolutely perfect. And so I learned to loosen up that day, I think.
Mhm.
And I don't know, there's a very fine line between loose and bad.
Yeah, there is.
Uh,
Don't you think you've got to put those 10,000 hours in before you can successfully loosen up and experiment?
Yeah, I think you need to learn the foundation. People that make casual work, they know how to make formal work before they make casual work.
Right.
I believe that.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, if you look at, say, Picasso's early drawings and things, he was an excellent drawer and painter of very traditional landscapes and portraits. And then he went from there to what we all know. And so I so agree. I just wanted to say, people are saying that it's so nice to hear your voice and to talk with you and things. Um, and that was one thing I got thinking about the other day is NCECA would be happening this week. You would be at NCECA probably. And so would probably a lot of other people who are watching. And I know it's all virtual. Bailey Pottery's been sending tons of emails and things, but that's one of the few places that a lot of us get to see one another and talk and check out work. And
Yeah, I used to get COVID every year when I went to
I
NCA.
bet you did.
I seem to know thousands of people, and kiss and hug and shake hands with almost every one of them. And then I'd go to the bar and stay up too late and tell too many stories and not get enough sleep, and my immune system would be down. And generally, I might be on a bus with 40 Sheridan students, and I get the flu.
Yep, yep. Live too hard and large, and yeah, our friend, I used to kind of babysit him around Ensika, and he'd go, "Don't tell anybody." And like if they were giving away shot glasses, his pants would be filled with shot glasses. And he's like, "Don't tell anyone." So I'm telling you know who right now. And so it was just like, I'm not your mother, okay? Be good. But anyway, let's see. I was trying to think what else. Yes, NSECA is virtual, and people can sign up. I don't know if you have the option to pay for just parts of NSECA, or if it's, you pay for the full boat to see all the virtual.
It was $50 or something for the whole thing, wasn't it?
I thought it was 300 for the whole.
Oh, wow. Oh, like.
But I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Maybe somebody will pipe up and say what they know. I'm kind of watching this. All right. So any more questions, anyone? I see we're kind of on 45 minutes. I don't want to bore people. Anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask Tony? Again, try to, think of a way that you can support our fellow potters, take classes, just, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And I've seen a lot of the posts or a lot of the chat messages, more and more people are walking and exercising. And I really believe that by doing that, you'll make better ceramic work. I just think getting outside is a good thing. What else?
I was just talking to a friend this morning, and there are no bicycles available. There are no skis available. People are walking and running and doing all kinds of things, and I think that's all good. That's that putting health first business. Yeah. Yeah, I just see Cheryl there. You can't buy a pottery wheel. I think we're taking orders for them now somewhere in June or July. But the crazy part about that, and that's worth discussing, is so all of these people now are buying pottery wheels and pre-made glazes and pre-made clays and all that stuff. And they have time at home. So I don't know whether this is going to make pottery better, or whether we're going to have a whole bunch of people out there that are making crappy things that they learned on YouTube. And,
right. But don't you think more people touching clay, trying to throw pots on the potter's wheel will get people to appreciate better what they're seeing when they go to a show or go into a gallery or go to an exhibit? I would hope it would make them appreciate, it's like, wow, that mug is light, but wow, that casserole doesn't weigh 25 pounds. I'm hoping it's a good thing. And the other thing you used to say to me, you said this a while ago, there are so many educated people who have retired from their first career or second career, and they're now falling in love with pottery and they're taking courses. So for people like you and Ron Myers and other people who like to teach, you're going to have full classes.
There's no question about that. I recognize that my audience now is generally well-educated people that have been successful at another career. But I also am seeing people that take a couple of courses, buy a pottery wheel, and have an Etsy site within 6 weeks' time. And so and we don't have. I mean, when I started making pots, I would go down to this. There was a shop in Yorkville in Toronto, the Ontario Potter Shop, and I would go and I would look at these pots, and I aspired to be in that shop one of these days. And you just didn't get in there because you were a member of the Ontario Potters. You had to earn your spot in there, and and it, and I don't see that now. I think as soon as you're a member of something, you can sell, and I'm not all for that.
Right. Someone asked, are you actually getting your hands in clay on a regular basis during the week right now? Like, are you making right now?
Yep. Uh-huh. Yep. Well, but not very, about 3 hours a day. Uh,
Good.
but a friend gave me an order for a dinnerware set, and that got me back in the studio. It you know it's something that I know how to do. I know how to do it, and it's get my hands back into it again. So I I I thank John for that. But and I used to make about 2 dinnerware sets a year for people,
Hmm.
and I limited it myself to that, um, because I wanted to make other things.
Yeah,
And when you get a dinnerware order for 12, it usually means you have to make 18.
at minimum. Yep.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Usually orders are a curse. I didn't say that. But
yeah.
I was going to tell people if they want to look for your work, and yes, you're going to have to get in your car and deliver some pots. Um, there are 4 places in Canada that are selling Tony's pots right now. One is called the Blacksmith Country General. It's in Jerseyville, Ontario. They do have a website. So,
That's my former student Emma Smith.
oh, okay. And
Yep,
it's called www.blacksmithcountrygeneral.com. And
yep.
then is it Alamonte? Alamonte?
Elmont, Elmont.
Elmont.
Yep.
Okay. There's
That's
the
up. That's
general,
up.
huh?
It's up near our nation's capital. It's on the
Oh, okay.
Mississippi River, actually, in Canada.
Oh, okay. It's generalfinecraft.com. So all spelled out, all one long tag on word. And then there's the store on James, that's in Hamilton, Ontario. And that website is store spelled out, so STORE on james.ca. And then, how do you say the next name? Dundas?
Sorry, it's the Carnegie Gallery.
Okay, carnegiegallery.org. So CARNEGIE gallery.org. And I know too that in the States, he's supposed to get some work to Anthony Scholar too. He's got a great website.
Yeah.
And I believe, I don't know, Tony, can you think of anything else? Obviously, you and I could chit chat forever and ever and ever, but we probably should wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we should wrap it up.
I'll give people one last chance. Any questions? You can type them in chat and we'll see them. I think Tony can even see the chat questions. But any questions, anyone? Thank you, Maggie. I do appreciate it. Yes, there's dates for Logo Island. I'm hoping I can come.
So sometime in August, I can't remember the dates actually. Yeah.
Oh, they have a website, correct?
Yep. Yep. I think it's Fogo Island Clay. I'm not sure, but
Logo
the
Island.
Fogo Island Inn. If you look that one up, that's a whole different scene. It's a very interesting story. I can't remember the name. If you look it up, Strange and Familiar was a little film they did, and this woman that built this inn there, and it's the cheapest room there is $2,000 a night.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, anyways, she was from there and made her millions, and's gone back and created this inn, which has now become kind of an arts colony, which I'm very excited to go to.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, so.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone today for joining us. I really appreciate it. I think if nothing else, it's fun for everyone to feel like you're in the room with some other people and people that probably, know exactly what we know and what we're struggling with. And um, I hope you're all making pots and I hope you make some really great work. And I thank you for your time.